Yes.
I was asked recently, how many families, you're from the Kahili family, how many families of that kind of size were there throughout the islands?
The shamanic tradition?
Or shamanic traditions, for starters.
According to the census of 1848, oh, come on.
Well, I mean, were there others on Kauai?
Oh, sure. Okay, all right. We're talking about, first of all, let's understand this. Hawaiian tradition and Hawaiian esoteric tradition. Okay? In ancient Hawaii, the whole culture had some aspects of this because the general understanding of everybody was that the universe is alive, aware, and responsive. This was not the province only of certain people or certain families. That's the way people understood the universe, how they understood everything to work, and how they behaved in relation to that. Ideas like telepathy, well, of course, that exists. There was no question about that. The importance of dreams and dreaming, that was natural. So there were a lot of things that we often today consider metaphysical or esoteric that were part of the entire culture. Now within that, there were specialists in different areas. One of these areas was kupua, or kalakupua. We've translated this as shaman or shamanic. And this is the idea of being able to communicate with the environment, being able to communicate with spirit, being able to travel to other worlds, and essentially act as a healing agent in the society, but healing in those different ways. Now, there's no way to say, especially at this date, how many families, since almost the entire Hawaiian population was decimated, primarily with disease. At the time of King Kalakaua, when Hawaii was recognized as a legal government by all the countries of the world, and Kalakaua, as a matter of fact, was the first king in history to travel around the entire globe, visiting all these other heads of state. He was the first one to ever do that. But at the time of his kingship, there were only 40,000 Hawaiians. And that includes Hawaiian citizens of all kinds. Because there were a lot of Haoles who were Hawaiian citizens, because they were born here and they were part of the kingdom. 40,000 people was the population. There were a lot of foreigners who would come here from different places to do things, and merchants and things like that. But the indigenous, well, not the indigenous, but the local population was only 40,000 people. It's not very many. A lot of people with knowledge had died. One of the Hawaiian writers, Samuel Kamakawa, as a matter of fact, he said in the 1800s, he wrote, he's one of the most prolific writers of Hawaiian, but he wrote that, he said, today, nobody knows who came from where. So many people have died, so many people have mixed, that we don't know the details of our heritage anymore, except through stories that we have. Okay. So, are there still different families today? Yes. How many? I couldn't give you a number. How many there were then? There's no way I could give you a number. Because we can tell from what we know about stories and tales and legends and writings of the 1800s, when all Hawaiians were literate in their own language, we get the sense that they were a minority in terms of the population. There are stories about them, but they never play, except for Maui, they seldom play very prominent roles except as additional characters in the legends. Okay. So there were other people. The priesthood was very powerful, and there were a lot of those of different orders, different kinds. We know that. So the kupua were smaller in numbers, and that's about the most we can say. But this esoteric knowledge was held as specialties through different families, and these Hawaiian families from the ancient times came from a lot of different places. So they had a lot of different points of view, blended with some common things like pono and aloha, but also had different points of view about other things. So when I say that what I'm teaching comes from one particular family tradition, I want to emphasize that because I'm not trying to conflict or compete with any other family tradition. Because different ones say things differently, look at things differently.